and welcome to the 61st edition of Marex Media News. These are the headlines on Monday, 12th April 2021. Bumper month for box ship orders. Baltic Index touches 1 week peak. Rides CAPESIZE bullishness. Stowaway incidents must be handled with humanity. How digital freight networks compare to traditional freight providers. CMA CGM's biomethane paves way to reach substantial reduction in environmental impact. A bumper month has smashed the earlier decade-old record and got near-matching orders for the entire final 12 months, as liners used incomes from persistently high freight rates to pump up the global order book.
It seems box ship owners have never had so good in their lifetime. Last month was just phenomenal. There's enough liquidity, they've got fantastic freight rates, the logistics bottlenecks are helping them to some extent, and with the surplus cash, they've been able to sort of write off all their debts, and they've got enough liquidity in hand, and all of them are tempted to buy more and more ships. And there have been orders for more than 48 box ships are worth $7 billion in the last few months. I think the highest ever. But what will it translate to? And they're also investing in containers and the reefer boxes. What happens when will this bubble burst? Will there be an oversupply like what happened in 2005 and 2014-15? Because the world trade is not really, it is growing, but not to the extent to the which box ships are being flooded with. It's a COVID which has caused delays in US, so that instead of one box sitting on one side, one on the other, and one sailing, 3 boxes, there are 5 to 6 in the pipeline. So once this finishes and the new box ships arrive, we only hope that still there's a demand and these guys can maintain the freight rates. Otherwise there'll be again a freight war, but that's yet to be seen. But as it is today, the box market is booming, the orders are phenomenal, and there are smiles on the owners' faces.
Last month has been a bumper month for new shipbuilding. Orders equivalent to a year have been placed in a single month. To understand that, we need to go back into the history, just a year back. Beginning in 2020, with the onset of pandemic, most of the ship owners started cancelling their orders for new builds. And in August 2020, the new shipbuilding order was down to a 17-year-old low. This further went down to 30-year-old low by October 2020. And the shipyards were worried about the future of their business. Also, the projection of depressed volumes pushed some ship owners to scrap their older ships. Parallelly, something interesting was happening. The economic package announced by various governments suddenly pushed the consumption up and the demand for various kinds of goods started rising. This was complemented by China's ability to contain the virus at home and keep its industries running, which were now prepared to fulfill the increasing demand. So suddenly there was a huge demand for ship space with no matching tonnage available. There was also a huge shortage of containers as globally the ports were not functioning to their full capacity, mostly due to pandemic-related issues and some labor issues. This in turn led to shortage of empty containers. The double whammy drove the freight rates northwards to the extent of 2 to 3 times of pre-pandemic levels. The new freight levels brought in huge cash flows to the carriers, and all of a sudden the future was bright. The outlook of the industry changed, leading the carriers to place order for new ships. Another factor that helped to push the order book is the commitment by carriers to shift to new environment-friendly fuels. The carriers will be replacing existing ships running on fossil fuels to alternative fuels, which is expected to keep the shipyards busy for a long time to come.
The Baltic Exchange's main sea freight index that tracks rates for dry bulk rose to a more than 1 week high on higher demands for Capesize vessels. The BDI rose 35 points or 1.7% to 2127, its highest since March 29.
Good morning. Today we are going to look at the Cape market, rather I would say the Cape roller coaster story. As we are all aware, what happened last week on Friday, the daily earnings of Cape moved up by more than $1,000 a day and very close to 24,000 US dollars per day. That's the average of the 5 TCs. January 4th, it was around 16,500, and January 13th, it went up to the highest so far, which is 26,500 US dollars, and then the minimum came to 10,304. As of Friday, we can see the Q2, the paper has also been pushing up. It's 26,750, Q3 25,750, and of course, CAL 22 has gone up to close to $18,000. Now, what is the reason for CAPE? It's nothing new for CAPE market to behave like this, as we know. It's always been a roller coaster story with CAPE. With the volatility close to 160, 170%, that's the wall for CAPE, which is absolutely amazing. No other, almost I would say that no other commodity would have this sort of high volatility. We have seen there's been restriction on the steel production in China. In spite of that, we are seeing the markets are going up. The demand has been supported by the declining domestic mining in China, as well as the Fe content of the domestic iron ore has been coming down. One of the major reasons has been the source. The sourcing has been from Brazil more in terms of percentage increase, and Brazil is 3 times further away compared to Australia. So the ton miles is the story of the ton miles. The volume from Brazil went up by 21% total, and almost 23 to 24% from Brazil into China. That is the increase year on year. Coal, the story continues between Australia and China. The issues haven't yet come to an end. Because of that, the trade patterns have changed in the past, and they continue to be like that. Of course, Australia has been exporting to India and Japan, Korea, Taiwan. However, China's source of thermal coal is now from Indonesia mainly. Then, of course, that is with huge ton miles. But from South Africa, it's more from Canada as well as from the US. So in general, I would say that CAPE market as of today and going forward, it is looking good. There may be some dips as we have seen, and we always see in this specific segment, because it depends on one country and one product. If it's steel, and it's China. Steel basically is the driver of iron ore, energy, as well as the coking coal. So let's see what the next week brings in. And do we still expect the year 2021 to be a good year? Something like 2007? I'm not sure, but you never know. It's shipping.
Human Rights at Sea has published a new briefing note on stowaways, examining the background to the incident at sea, drivers for individuals to take the risk of stowing away, and the human consequences. Today, stowaways continue to be found on board commercial vessels, causing disruptions to the master, crew, owner, and the voyage. And now, the news in detail.
The next step is definitely there has been some pressure on Indian jobs in one way or another.
In recent years, global transportation industry has been actively catching up with the other industries by digitizing its core function of assigning a shipper's freight to the right carrier for the job. Something that some logistics companies in 2021 still conduct manually using spreadsheets and phone calls. Without fully understanding the digital freight networks, many industry veterans fear that the technology revolution happening within the industry will eradicate jobs and the value of human relationships.
When we say there won't be e-commerce 10 years from now, what it means that it will be the mainstream commerce. Similarly, even traditional freight forwarders use digital technology for most of their processes. And the only difference between so-called digital freight forwarders and traditional freight forwarders is use of portals for instant quotation, and in some cases value addition by forecasting and use of big data analytics. However, technology always democratizes the availability of new solutions. Hence, I am very sure that the traditional freight forwarders would be offering the same solutions, and within next 5 years there will be a convergence in digital freight forwarders and traditional freight forwarders, just as there is a general convergence in logistics industry.
Changing technology and rapid digitization. There's a growing recognition that we're living at the beginning of a revolutionary era. And while technology offers a huge promise, there's the efficiency boost that could make our sector even more competitive, saving costs. Now there's an understandable concern about the effect digitization could have on jobs and human interaction, and these concerns should be taken seriously. But there's also evidence that rather than destroying jobs, digitization creates wealth. Wealth creates opportunity, and opportunity means new jobs. So the role of the workforce today will change, and of course the role would require different skills. But no, the people or human element can't be completely removed, because it's only with the right mix of human and digital interaction can the industry and its stakeholders excel.
Freight shipping and logistics giant CMA CGM is launching the first low-carbon shipping offer based on biomethane, which supports the company's vision to become carbon neutral by 2050. As of May 2021, the CMA CGM's customers will be able to select biomethane via the Act with CMA CGM Plus range of services, paving the way for a substantial reduction in the environmental impact of the shipping of their goods. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching. See you all next Monday.